Welcome. You're tuned into Life is a Sacred Journey. Every week, we bring a new perspective to aging and caregiving. Here is your host, Micheal Pope.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the virtual neighborhood of Life is a Sacred Journey. It is so cool and wonderful every week, Friday, 8 a.m., 7:59, 8 a.m. We come and join you in your virtual home, in your kitchen, your living room, with your tea, with your coffee, with your juice. Maybe you're even taking us on a walk with you through our podcast mode. However, you have come to Life is a Sacred Journey this morning. We are thankful that you are here and grateful that you are here. But you know what? I forgot something this morning, and I'm going to do it because I can't stand. Hold on, my friends. Don't go away. If my daughter is watching this and I don't do this, she's going to get me. So hang in there with me for one more minute. It's called lipstick. I got to put it on. All right, Jade, I'm putting it on. So I just noticed I didn't have any lipstick on. So I have a daughter that always tells me to put lipstick on. So I put my lipstick on. So let's start all over. Good morning to all of you at Life is a Sacred Journey. Welcome to the virtual living room or wherever you are. My name is Micheal Pope, and I am your host here at Life is a Sacred Journey. It is my honor every week, every Friday at 8 a.m. to come to you either with a guest or with my ponderings of the week. This is a pondering week, and so let's get started. So my first pondering, and I hope you guys felt the same way. Dr. Robb, if you're listening this morning, thank you so much for the enlightened conversation that we had last week, for the joy that you bring to your work, and for coming to Life is a Sacred Journey. You are a part of our community, and we are thankful. So for all of you that missed Dr. Robb last week, please go back and pull up that podcast. It is amazing. He is amazing. And we wish him well this morning from Life is a Sacred Journey. I also wanted to lift up a couple of things before we move into other topics, but these things are important to me, and I just want to raise them up. So the first thing that I want to speak to you about is the loss of a great man, Melvin Van Peebles. Melvin Van Peebles was 89 years old, and I think he passed away about 2 days ago. And when I was growing up as a young woman back east, there were no, probably by the time I was a teenager, there were people, brown and black people were being depicted on television in a very different way than we had been in the past. But movies, there weren't movies that really showed the Black life in the way that we now have movies that, and even then now we don't have as many as we should have, because then maybe some of the boundaries of racism and all of that we could cross over that if we knew more truth. But Melvin Van Peebles produced, wrote, and actually I think he was in Watermelon Man. I think he had a part, he did an Alfred Hitchcock moment, just like Alfred Hitchcock used to be in all of his movies. The great thing was to watch the movie and try to find him. But Melvin Van Peebles was a champion of the new Black cinema of the 60s, and he was a Renaissance man. He paints, he wrote poetry, and he showed me, he definitely is in my spirit as the person I am today, because I really followed his words. I watched his movies. I watched his life when he went to Paris, and I just got enamored by just the statue of this man, not meaning size, because he was not a big man, but meaning just this holistic man who looked like me, who could speak English properly, who spoke French, who traveled the world, who could paint, who could write, and still rose high under the oppression of racism in a time when it was worse. It was, I mean, I don't even know if we can say it was worse. It just was, it is, okay? And so I just want to wish him well. He's already singing and with the angels and in the heavens. But Melvin Van Peebles, thank you so much for the sacrifices that I know you had to go through in order to be the messenger of a conversation that people were not ready to hear, to be courageous, to write scripts. Badass, Sweet Sweetback is, it's an X. It was rated X, but when you watch the story of when he lost his eyesight making that movie, where Earth, Wind, and Fire, it was their first track in that movie. There's just so many things. I mean, if you look beyond, the fact that there are some scenes, some sexual scenes, well, there's sexual scenes in a lot of movies we watch, but just the fact that it was done, his money, on a shoestring. Some of the great artists of the future were a part of that movie. And so Melvin Van Peebles, rest in glory, rest in power, rest in peace. And thank you for showing us what it means to live a purposeful life, to have a trajectory that doesn't have anything to do with your own self-profit and gain, but a trajectory to change the world. And we are honored. We were blessed to have you walk among us on this planet, regardless of whether we agreed with your politics, your movies, the messaging or not. The world was blessed to have Melvin Van Peebles in it. And so rest in peace, brother. Rest in peace, father. Rest in peace, king. The next person I want to celebrate is, we all know her. She became a person that we were able to honor under President Obama. He lifted her up and she got a medal during his time as president. But she's one of our Bay Area glories. She's a glory. She's the oldest park ranger. Her name is Beth Reed Soskin, and she turned 100 years old this week. And she's still working. And she is at the park in Richmond, California. So I just have to lift her up because she's 100 years old, still working, doesn't want to retire. She feels it's the reason that she has longevity is that she gets up every day and she has something to do. Not too long ago, some people broke in her house and stole the medal that she received from President Obama. And of course, it was replaced. Shame on you, people, for doing that. But this 100-year-old goddess, this 100-year-old queen is still out there in the world making it happen for her and for all of us, making sure the parks are safe, making sure the park is a place that young people can go to, that elders can go to, that we all can go to and enjoy. So happy birthday, happy birthday to you, Beth Reed Soskin, 100 years old, a contributor to the world, living out her purpose for 100 years, and a Bay Area diamond and gem. We are thankful that you are on this planet still, and may your 100th year of life be one that's continued to be filled with glory, peace, and grace. We are thankful. I am thankful. And I'm so happy that I have your example to follow. Stay engaged, stay involved, be an advocate for the earth, and you will have longevity because you're always focused with the earth when you're living that life. So I've been working on, as you all know, and again, thank you. You have joined Life is a Sacred Journey. I am your host, Micheal Pope. Hit the share button, share it, subscribe on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube. Thank you, Felicia. Felicia's back home. She made it back home from Moldova. So welcome, Felicia, back to us this morning. We want to thank our brother Leon here, who supports me with pushing all the buttons. But thank you to all of you. For every Friday, you show up or whenever you show up to participate in this podcast or vlog or whatever the terminology is for the different modems of communication that go out from Life is a Sacred Journey, I am thankful. I am grateful to you for your following us. And so continue to follow us, share it with other people, let them know they can find us on YouTube, they can find us, oh my gosh, Instagram, they can find us everywhere. So you will be able to find us going into the future. So again, hit that share button so that other people can share in what we're doing. So I have been, as all of you know, on this sort of health kick. I became plant-based right when not right away when the pandemic started, but shortly thereafter. I realized I had gained a tremendous amount of weight. But because of my height and body structure, I'm able to hide it. But the one place that I'm not able to hide it is my face. My face was getting puffy, and I gained a lot of weight. I gained about 30 pounds from 2019 to about 2020, around the time that the pandemic started. And what that did was agitate a sciatic problem that I got in 2018, 2019, that I know that it's because I started putting more mileage on my car, which meant I was putting more mileage on my body, and ended up having to use a cane. Many of you saw me with the cane. I still have a walking stick in my house. In my car, so that if I ever have a relapse, which I recently did have, where it hurt a lot and I needed the support, it's on my right side. Okay, so moving forward, I went to my healthcare provider and they told me what it was. I have the lower 3 discs are rubbing up against, because they're all over the place, are rubbing up against that sciatic nerve. And so when everything gets inflamed in the back from lack of sleep, stress, this whole back area here gets stressed out, and it starts to put pressure on that sciatic. And then it just shoots down my right leg. And I start to even get these little bumps of, they're like little, where the sciatic nerve actually gets pinched, and I can feel the little pinches down along the leg. Okay, so operation, injection. People around me have said, do it, do it, do it. Don't worry about it. You'll feel, everything. What folks don't know about me, and this is my story, may not be your story, and I'm not telling you to do what I do, but ever since I got sick in 2016 and had to take chemicals, pharmaceuticals to eradicate this thing in my body, I haven't ever felt the same. I've always felt poisoned, even though what was given to me was great, because the tumor, all of that. Okay. But I have felt poison ever since. And I've noticed certain things ever since, like my fat tissue holds on to stuff a little bit more. I have inflammation in areas that I didn't have before. This is also aging, because I was an athlete when I was younger. And then when I got in my late 20s, 30s, after Milton was born, I began to run. I became a runner. Every morning, hitting that concrete, and then walking, and just very athletic. And the pressure of that on the body over the years, I can feel it. I know that. But I didn't want to go, and I'm not putting anybody down. Life is a sacred journey. Let me just put this disclaimer in there. I am not judging anybody's choices. Can't do that. I've made great choices in my life, and I've made some yucky choices that have created consequences for me that I'm still living with today. But at the end of the day, I'm sharing in case my life journey is something that might inspire you to live your life journey differently, or just to live it without thinking that it has to be replicative of anybody else's life, or that, you know, we all have opinions about how people should live and how people should be and how people should act and how people should show up. And we have all those opinions. But at the end of the day, it's you that you go home and shut the door behind or close it. And you have to live with you. So whatever decisions you make in life, they have to be your decisions and you have to feel good about them. So my decision with all of that was to see if I could take a holistic approach to lowering my blood pressure, even though I was on medications and still am on a low dosage. We're coming down. That. And then to see if there was something that I could do other than surgery. One, I didn't have time for the surgery. My life is so filled. I don't have time for surgery right now. And I don't have time for a shot that may or may not work. I need to just keep it moving. And somebody said to me, there might be a little something in me that has to feel a little bit of that to know that I'm alive. I don't know. That's kind of psycho. That's a psychological thing, but it could be. It could be that just that little twinge of pain that I feel continuously because of the sciatic helps me to know that I'm alive, and that's really Freudian. That's really Freudian. So we'll leave that one alone, and if my counselor is watching, do not bring that up at my next visit. But anyway, so I went to a plant-based diet because I learned, and actually it showed up for me last night, I had some soup that had some chicken in it and couldn't keep it down. I couldn't keep the chicken down. About 45 minutes after I finished eating it, all of it came up. So I realized that my body is changing. My metabolism is changing. How I process food is changing. And that is because I'm becoming a wonderfully incredible elder. And I'm just so thankful. I want to live to be 100 years old, like my dear friend. I have to keep looking, Betty Reed Soskin. And that's because she walks, I don't know how much she walks every single day through that park. I don't know. She's in the fresh air. She's talking to people. She's maintaining a physicality that helps her to live her best life and has helped her live to be 100 years old. So now I'm plant-based. What does that mean? That means when I was invited October something to an event, I was on a board and they're inviting me back to a board, alumni gathering. And they wanted us to say what we wanted to eat. And they sent say, we'll order you a vegan. It means plant-based is beyond vegan. Plant-based means there is nothing that I eat that had parents or comes from the production of something that had parents. So that's the easiest way. So it just really means 100% everything that I eat is plant-based. So yes, do I miss certain things? Probably. But not as much anymore. Like sugar, no desire for anything sugary. Somebody gave me a box of candy not too long ago, and I ate my favorite pieces out of that. And that went to my head and my system, and I felt it for days after. So once I fasted first. Many of you know my journey started with a 40-day fast. Somewhat, some of it was because of my faith, and some of it was because I wanted to start with a clean temple, so to speak. And then I went into doing vegan first with a little bit of fish so that protein. And then I moved from that to being plant-based. Plant-based means sometimes the food is disgusting. I've eaten some sausages that are plant-based that after the first bite, the whole thing had to go away. It was gross. It tastes like cardboard. But I've now found a brand, it's called Sweet Earth. Sweet Earth, if you're out there, we are looking for sponsors. I would be more than happy to sponsor you. Sweet Earth, and they have a delicious apple sausage, and then they have a delicious chili sort of sausage, and it's all plant-based. Yes, the food goes bad quicker. I'm learning how to shop as a plant-based person, because I buy these big bags of kale, big bags of spinach, and all of this, and sometimes I can't get through it fast enough before it begins to go bad. But I'm learning how to turn that into compost, so for my plants, because as you also know, I've gone back to a plant journey where now my house is becoming a forest of living plants. And so those kinds of things are really important to look at. Like, should I be vegan? Should I be plant-based? Is it low sodium? Are you lactose? You know, I went to almond milk. I found that I like the dark chocolate silk almond milk. Oh my gosh, it's the bomb. And I mix it with my chocolate protein collagen powder, and I have that for breakfast. And then I also drink a green superfood thing in the afternoon or in the evening. I try not to eat after 7 o'clock. That's what happened last night too, that I was eating after 7 o'clock because I was in meetings until almost 9:45. And so I was so hungry, and I woofed that chicken udon that was in the refrigerator that Jade left. And I ate it thinking, okay, a little bit of protein's not going to kill me, and the noodles are fine. And man, 45 minutes later, I was running. So you have to pay attention to the messaging that your body is giving you. And when your metabolism is changing, even the way you metabolize alcohol, you know, going back to our conversation last week with Dr. Robb, or, you know, how you metabolize or take in medications. You know, that's why if you've been taking a medication for a very long period of time and you lose or you gain weight, you need to have a discussion with your doctor about that, because that changes everything. When I lost the 30 pounds and my blood pressure started to come down, I noticed the blood pressure medication that I was on was making me dizzy. And it was making me lightheaded. And I was kind of like, wait a minute, something's wrong. Well, when I used, you know, because I take my own blood pressure, I would advise that for everybody, every elder, every person, get your own blood pressure cuff. Take your blood pressure when you wake up in the morning, when you're calm, and have a baseline, and then take it again in the evening when you get home. And maybe if, like me, during the day, so that you can begin to do some stress management tools like breathing, getting up from your desk, going for a walk in the middle of the day. If you're back to work, you know, use your lunch hour or lunch half hour to really take care of you and do self-care. Get away from your desk. You know, I keep trying to tell people here, stop eating your lunch at your desk. That is not lunch. When you bring your lunch to your desk, you're in that same mode. People still think you're working and they're talking to you. It's a little different now because some of us are working from home, but it's the same thing. If you're working from home and you're like today, right after I finish this podcast, I'm going into another. I have 6 meetings on today, back to back, with only a half-hour break, which I will run and get a cup of coffee. Again, all of those things create how we age, create how our metabolism works, creates how we feel here and here. Remember, Dr. Robb said they're all tied together. And so when we don't take care of ourselves, our body acts out. And that's what happened to me with the sciatic. That's what happened to me with the high blood pressure. And so losing the weight was important because I was also having inflammation. Okay, so there was inflammation that was happening. I could see it in my hands. I know many of you experienced that. I could feel it in my feet because my shoes were fitting me differently. And then at the end of the evening, they would be so sore and I couldn't figure out why. Well, they were swollen. Okay, so all of these things, paying attention to the body saying, I need help here, and figuring out what that help is. I read an incredible book called The Plant Paradox. It's by Dr. Stephen Gundry, I believe his name is. And he has products and all of that. But this book is amazing. And it talks about, you know, everybody thinks every vegetable is good for you. Well, it's not. Depending on your metabolism and how you metabolize food. Not every vegetable is good for you. Not every fruit is good for you. Because everybody's metabolism is different. Our friend Carolyn Brent talks about that in her book quite a bit, about metabolism type, blood type, all of those things that make up the way you process food, the way you process medications, the way the opiate epidemic is a prime example. There are some people that can take painkillers for a very short period of time and be done with them. And then there's other people whose metabolism says, nope, we're not done with it. And now we have to take it as an addiction. So everybody's different. And then we have trauma. Remember, we talked about that. We have trauma and we have other things that also enforce or push us in trajectories that sometimes are not physically or mentally good for us. So eating well is a prime example of that. And I know that as I've gotten older, I've needed more things to boost my immune system. So green superfoods, you can buy them and you can eat them. I do that. But the reality is I supplement it with a superfood powder because I don't always... The one thing I'm noticing about myself as I get older, I don't know if it's happening to a lot of you, but my appetite has changed where I get hungry. Oh, absolutely, I get hungry, but not in the same way. Like I wake up, I'm not hungry yet. I will be in another, like around 11 o'clock or so, I'll be ready to eat something. So that works for me. And some people call that intermittent fasting. And I actually found out that I was naturally doing some intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting only means the time that you give your body rest and that you are able to give your body time to metabolize the food in the hopes that you're passing it through, quite honestly. That's what this is all about. It is about taking food in for energy, also food to enjoy because we have taste buds. There's a reason we have taste buds so we can enjoy the different flavors and the cornucopia of textures of food. Okay, so we take that in, but at the end of the day, we're supposed to wait for that food to metabolize and for the energy to be processed out of that food for us to move forward, like mind, body, spirit, all of that, because that's what food does. It breaks down. Some of it goes to our brain, goes into our bloodstream, but sometimes we eat too much. We found that out here at ASAP. So here at ASAP, we serve breakfast between 9 and 10, okay? That has been traditionally our way of doing it. Over COVID, we've done a lot of pivoting, but we were feeding people lunch up till about 10:30, breakfast, up till about 10:30. Well, we served lunch at noon. So we were serving a full breakfast, eggs, bacon, toast, between 9 and 10:30. Okay, so you do the timing. Then what, an hour and 15 minutes later or whatever, we were serving a full USDA lunch, grain, starch, protein, all of that. Caloric intake of over 1,200 calories. The lunch, the breakfast was definitely that. Now for breakfast and lunch, a senior, 80, average age, 80 something, is eating 2,400 calories within a 5-hour period. And that would be great if they weren't going to go home and eat dinner. But I can promise you, pretty much all of our participants go home to families that cook. So you do the math. And then we're talking about a body that is a little bit more sedentary than a body that's moving around and doing. Yes, we have exercise. Yes, we go for walks. But again, we're talking about 80, 90, 100-year-old individual that's not our dear Betty Reed Soskin, that didn't work. And, you know, the whole time they have folks are diagnosed with dementia. So they're a little bit more sedentary. So here we go. We already have 2,400 calories. We're not moving as much. Our exercise has diminished quite substantially over the diagnosis. And now we're getting ready probably to add another 1,000 calories for dinner or thereabouts. And then we're wondering why this person has inflammation, why this person has a distended belly. Because, you know, we're finding your gut, you know, that's why all these people are trying to sell you prebiotics, probiotics, all of this. And yes, I take a probiotic. I do. I think it's 500 living dippity-doo or 5,000 dippity-doos active. I do that, but I'm not trying to like go here, there, everywhere. I did go to a holistic doctor. So I'm going to preface, I need to say that I did go to a holistic doctor and have him assess me. And I actually went to him for 6 months for me to get a holistic sort of menu of things. So I have a bunch of vitamins and supplements that I take. I know a lot of people will say, and I've had people say to me, well, Micheal, you're spending a whole lot of money to put to color the water in the toilet. And this is the thing that I say to them. That is in fact true. But everything that I have read says that your body will absorb what it needs. And yes, it will flush away the rest. Okay, but my body needs that because I'm not eating an enormous amount of food. I probably only eat one meal a day, and some days no meal at all because I'm not hungry. It doesn't mean that when I say no meal, I'm not eating. It means I'm not sitting down and having the USDA fruit, you know, on one plate. I may have a pocket of cherries. I do eat a banana every day. I actually eat an apple at night. And actually my newest practice, if I'm really, really hungry, but I don't feel like cooking anything, oh my gosh, the gluten-free Quaker Oats oatmeal with cinnamon, blueberries, and a little evaporated milk. So there is something that I do drink that is coming from something living. Okay. All right. Full disclosure. I cannot eat oatmeal without evaporated milk. Full disclosure. So a few minutes ago, I told you an untruth. I am eating 99.9% plant-based because I do put evaporated milk on my oatmeal, and evaporated milk has parents, right? So that's my one. Oh, goodness gracious. That's my one thing that I love. Oh my gosh, from a child. And butter. So I don't, and if I need honey or you know, So oatmeal gets me away, gets me out of my plant-based diet, but it's delicious. And I actually love eating it at night. I like eating it in the morning too for breakfast, but it's very, very delicious. It's kind of warm and comfort food before I go to bed at night. So changing your diet, exercising, getting up and moving, trying to figure out what your metabolism is. There is a metabolism test that I found online. I just put it in, metabolism test. I did buy a book called Metabolic Renewal, and I'm looking through that to look at all the recipes that they have in reference to changing your metabolism, because there are foods that do that for you, that because of what's in them, the antioxidants and different things like peppers are an incredible diuretic. Cabbage is a diuretic food. So all of these things that you can make. And so they have all these recipes in here, and shakes, wonderful shakes. So you don't have to use this book. You can go online. There's plenty of books out there for changing diet from this to this to the, to this, because you have to do it gently so that your body can adapt. I was laughing at myself when I started doing this. I said, Micheal, you're just like the dogs. Whenever I've changed their dog food, it's little by little. You don't just go in and dump a whole new dog food in because it can be bad on their stomach. And we're the same way. You know, I know sometimes when I speak of myself compared to animals, people say, and somebody actually said it to me. They said, why would you compare yourself to a dog? And I go, why not? I mean, I'm no different than anything else. The low of the lowest, whatever that means. Then when we say that, I don't consider myself any better than my dogs. I love my dogs. They're living. They care about me. Last night in a Zoom meeting, the Zoom meeting went over 9 o'clock, and 9 o'clock is our rest time. They came in the room where I was on the Zoom, and they just kept looking at me and rubbing up against me and basically saying, time's up. You need to stop this. It's time for us to rest. Us, not just me or them, us, because they won't lay down in the room until I'm there. So those are the things that when you look at your life, when you think about who you are, it's when we humble ourselves to not think that we're bigger because we're, I'm no bigger or any more important to the universe than the bumblebee. The bumblebee is actually more important. Not more important than the ladybug. Ladybugs are very important to the ecosystem. So are bumblebees. I'm no important than any living, crawling thing. And even though we are supposedly the higher cognition because we've got this big mass of 3-point-something pounds between each ear with a dangly thing hanging down looking like a sci-fi movie, we think that makes us more powerful and that we should have dominion over all these things when in fact we're supposed to work together as a collective. And we're supposed to work with the bees. We're supposed to work with the ladybugs by not creating pesticides that kill them. We're supposed to work with the trees by not always cutting them down and learning how to live among and within. We need to treat our little people better and know that they're watching our behavior when we're driving in the car and we say a racist comment about somebody that cuts us off. We need to think about our elders when we use terminology like their behavior is challenging or difficult. I don't know, have you ever lived with a pain where you broke your arm or leg and you lived with it, but they said it? Arthritis feels like that. So maybe that elder is just in pain and what you're feeling is them filtering their life through that pain. Sometimes we're too judgmental, not sometimes, all the time. We can be judgmental. I'm trying to learn not to be judgmental about anything because I don't know the backstory. And even if I knew the backstory, it's not my place to judge how anyone reacts to their story. Thank you, Dr. Robb. Everybody's story is different. If Dr. Robb hadn't told you and the world that he had an addiction and you met him today, would you have ever thought in a million years he was homeless at any given time in his life? No. What if I told you I have been homeless? Would you believe that? Would you? What if I've told you I've gone hungry and been without? Just because a person looks a certain way doesn't mean that that is their story. It may be the story today, but it wasn't the story yesterday or years before, and it may not be the story in the future. We do not know what people are carrying and handling in their lives. And so to judge them, but there's an old saying, you guys probably know it. When you point finger at somebody else, you're really pointing finger at yourself. And so what does that mean when we do that? So I don't know. I've been pondering, these are my ponderings. Sometimes I come with things that are about COVID and all of that. And today I just wanted to share that there is a better life for all of us. There is a life that belongs to us, that is purposeful, that has a place in it where we smile, where it has a place in it where we can serve each other, love each other, and care about each other. Instead of, as I always say, crashing into each other like we have a right to be ugly with each other. It's time to dismantle and eradicate racism and homophobia and ableism and ageism and all of the isms. Let's just get rid of them. They're a pain in the neck. They're getting in the way of who we are as human beings. And we can't climb over it. We can't climb under it. We got to bust it up. It's like the wall, over there that we knocked down. Somebody write in the chat what that wall was. I can't remember. But we got to eradicate, knock them down, crush them, and then turn it into powder and dust. So we don't if we keep them in big pieces, we'll just start to put it back together, because that's what we do, right? Then we have to look at all the systems that we have put together that have put a knee on somebody's neck or throat. What is that system? Sometimes the systems are the law. Sometimes the system is money. Sometimes the system is our faith-based communities that make people feel like they don't belong. How do you weigh all of these things in your life? Do we use them to hold people down and keep people at bay? Yes, we do. I was thinking the other day, because my daughter's looking at apartments and studios and everything, because she's moving back to the Bay Area. And I thought, why is it so hard for us to be able to make it possible for young people to start their lives? I know. I've owned property. I've rented property. I've done all that good stuff. And somebody said to me, well, it's a capitalistic world and we're here to make money. We're not here not to make money. I'm not here to make money. Money is a result of something that maybe I do. But that's not why I was born, to make money. If that's the case, then I need to get done, because I've never made that kind of money. Well, maybe a little bit in my 20s, 30s. But that doesn't even make sense if that's the only purpose that I have, is that I'm just here to make money. And John Wesley says, make all you can so you can do all you can. He's not the only one that says that, but I'm a John Wesley follower. So you make money so you can do what you need to do, have your house, buy your stuff, buy your little trinkets, your dresses and whatever. But it's also to give and to do. Dr. Robb again. Dr. Robb, you just, you know what? You are my brother, because you just living in me. But give, do for others. If you're just doing it because you're trying to build your bank account so it explodes. Like, I was watching something the other day. I'm into tiny houses. One day I'm going to do a whole show on tiny houses, because I'm into them. I have my own. I'm actually going to live in a tiny house. I might even die in a tiny house. Well, who knows? But I was watching somebody in a house, because I watch all this. And this house was huge. And of course, this was a multi-billionaire, blah, blah, blah. And it had 12 bedrooms. 3 people live in the house. Not a judgment. This is not a judgment statement. But I wonder. I drove by a house here in Berkeley. It's huge. I bet it's going to go for like $5 million. It's right over here near the Claremont. And I thought, my first thought when I saw the sign go out, because it just went out, I said, oh God, if I had the kind of money to buy that house, I would bring all the sex trafficked little girls and boys lost on the street in that house with me. I never once thought about me living in it alone. I want to live in it, but I don't want to live in it alone. I want to help people who seem invisible and seem lost, because I've been there. And I know how it feels to be unseen, unheard, unrecognized, and unloved. And now I'm not, for a lot of different reasons. And I know how it feels to connect with others, to connect with all of you. So those have been my ponderings. Not much, nothing earth-shattering, but hopefully it touched you wherever you are. I pray that you have a wonderful weekend, that you, excuse me, take time for self, that you take time to smile, take time to hug a tree, pet a dog, pet a cat, be quiet with yourself, be quiet with the universe, be quiet with the world, and know that life is a sacred journey and that only you can live your sacred journey in the unique way that you're living it. I hope that you will join us again. I hope that you will continue to come back. To all of you that have continued to come back every Friday for over 20 months, if not longer, thank you so much. I really, truly appreciate your support and the connection. Have a great weekend. Love yourself, hug yourself, and enjoy your life, because it's a great life and only you can live it in the way that you can. If you are contemplating suicide or feeling lost, Felicia will put the 1-800-SUICIDE hotline in down below. Please know that you matter. You matter. I don't know you, whoever you are out there. I don't have to know you to tell you that you matter. You matter. So please, if you are thinking just this moment that the world would be better without you, it will not be better without you. We will suffer as a world if you leave us now. Dial that 1-800 number and somebody will be there to help you through this moment, and know that you matter, because the ripple effect of losing you will be felt till the end of time. Have a wonderful weekend. Life is a sacred journey, family, community, siblings, and friends. And be well. Take care of yourself. Peace out.